Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have provided North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 25 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, 6 years and running, as named by the Lake City Reporter, the team from Gulf Coast Financial Services. Founder, CEO here with us, John Kuykendall, giving us that common sense approach to planning. John, how you doing? Welcome back.
Doing great, Peter. Hope you had a good week and everything's going well with you. I mean, down here it's warm, still cool at night, but we're getting a little heat during the day, so it's great.
Yeah, starting to get to the point where you just walk outside and start to sweat. So yeah, it's not my favorite time of the year. But John, a special occasion this weekend, and we want to give a shout out to all the moms in our lives. Happy Mother's Day, ladies. I don't know about you, John, but around my household, Mom really taught us a lot about handling money and handling finances.
Oh, yeah. You know, Mom is, they're the best. I mean, I don't know how we could describe how we wouldn't be here without mothers. And all of us have great mothers, I'm sure. But mothers are practical. They had to handle the budget. And, you know, when I was growing up, Mom didn't work for a good part of my life. And so we had a one income family, and Mom had to handle the budget, the groceries, and they're wonderful at making money stretch. It's amazing how, you know, a hungry man helper can stretch out a budget.
And yeah, absolutely, indeed. And always having to make ends meet. I was a single income household as well, but Mom was the only income there. So a lot of figuring out how much things cost, and she'd sit down and help me balance the checkbook. And these days I'm beginning to kind of turn a corner, John, and plan a little bit more for how I'm going to help her. I mean, she's kind of getting on up there, and she's still in good health, very active and vibrant, and she's a saint. I hope nothing ever happens to her. Out of all the great moms out there, she's the best. But facing reality, we've sort of got to plan for providing that care for our loved ones at certain points in time, the children, and then at certain points in time, the parents. And, you know, these days it's been named, the baby boomers have been called many things, the most active generation, and planning to continue to be active well through retirement. But we are really caught in the middle here of having to plan financially and prepare for multiple generations.
Yeah, it's right, Peter. I was just talking to a client this morning whose mother is 96 years old, still lives by herself, so she has to go take care of her. On top of that, her son and his family just moved back into the house with them. They had a problem with the pandemic last year, lost a job, lost an income, and so ended up having to move back in the house. And so it is the sandwich generation, because you're taking care of the younger ones, but at the same time, you're taking care of the older ones. And if we don't plan for that, Peter, it can really affect the retirement that you're building, because all of your energy and your time and your budget goes towards taking care of those two entities. And you don't have time to really prepare for your own. And the cost, people don't realize how much it costs. Long-term care is very expensive. Around the caregivers are expensive. So it's an expensive proposition, and it can go on. I mean, with dementia, we're talking about years and years and years before the body gives out and the mind forgets to feed it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a sad situation.
Well, when addressing this, I sort of feel like there are 4 W's. When I need care, who is going to provide it? Where am I wanting to receive it? And those 3, answering those, will really kind of lead us to the 4th one. What do I need to do about it today?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we do when we do our focus income plan, is we sit down and we talk about the need for long-term care. I mean, it's like a 90% probability, 95% probability that after the age of 65, people are going to need some type of long-term care before they pass away. And so when I ask my clients, where do they want that care to be given? They all say they want it at home as long as possible.
Sure.
And so, I mean, everybody does. Who wants to go to a facility, as we call it? And they've changed a lot. They don't have quite the stigma they used to have, but certainly no one wants to go there. And so we try to put into that plan a way that we can provide them some additional income to pay for that support during those times of need.
Now, when we think about what that care is going to look like and how we are planning and preparing, and for my situation, thinking that I may eventually have to provide some level of support, I also, in the back of my mind, and not to be cold, not to be callous, not to be selfish, I feel like I really need to plan very carefully for myself as the priority, so I don't become dependent on anyone later in life, on my son. I don't want to turn around and be dependent on him. And so I don't think that planning for ourselves as the priority is something that should be overlooked. That really does need to be the priority in order to accomplish the goal of providing as much protection to those around us as possible.
Well, that's right, Peter. Everyone needs to plan, and we need to plan for ourselves, or how are we going to support our loved ones, and how are we going to care for them who depend on us. And so we can always take the stress out of that situation a little bit if we plan ahead of time. You don't want to put yourself into a situation where you're not ready, you haven't prepared for those things. And you want to do the best thing you can to take care of those around you. So certainly that income planning, that focus income planning that we talk about all the time, I think is what everyone needs to start as soon as possible.
Well, if you would like to take a look at that income plan for your situation, get a financial focused plan for your future, pick up the phone, give a call. They do make that offer for the complimentary review. And to get that plan in your hands there at GulfCoast Financial Services, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, or you can visit online, gulfcoastfinancial.net. Now, John, the ways that are available to approach this topic, they've never been perfect, but they have changed and evolved a great deal over time. So diving a little bit into the different approaches, where does proper life insurance, proper savings, proper and appropriate investing play into this question of how we are going to be able to handle and address the prospects of healthcare expenses?
Well, certainly, one of the things is life insurance nowadays, as we've said before, is not just for dying. It does have a critical and chronic illness rider that we can attach to it, so that if we have a critical illness situation, we can pull a large balance of the cash of the face amount of the policy down and use that for long-term care. But also, if something happens to us, then we prepared that money to go forward to pay for expenses, and it can also pay for the long-term care of our loved ones in that regard. Savings and investing, we need to, as we prepare for our retirement, we want to make sure that we do throw in that long-term care component for both spouses, so that we know that we've got them taken care of. And we can do that through a lot of savings and a lot of instruments such as the new annuities, some of the other products that are available that have an income rider, but also double for long-term care if two of the 6 daily living things are hit. So I really like those in our planning approach, but we have to sit down, and everybody's situation is different, and we have to figure out what's appropriate. On some of our clients, we've used the life insurance method. Some of our clients, we've used the annuities. And then there's also a third one, which is a hybrid, where we use the life insurance and the asset-based long-term care is what it's called. We use that approach, and that's been very, very attractive to a lot of our clients.
We've got this great report, the 4 approaches to addressing long-term care and medical expenses in retirement. And it sort of outlines, it's just a brief overview of each one of these approaches. And I'd like to dig into that just a little bit. Now, I would say, giving away a little bit of the end here, the latter two, being self-insured or becoming a dependent, both of those, I guess, are plans, but I don't think that being dependent on our family nor the government is anybody's ideal plan, John, and especially that last one.
Well, I've had some clients who have had to depend on the government. And while that has worked out, it hasn't worked out well because, as you know, if we're dependent upon the government, we have no choice in where we're going. We have to go.
And yet I actually hear a lot of people say that is the plan. Oh, well, Medicaid is going to be there for me.
Well, it's not, because what happens is Medicaid will take your Social Security, your retirements, your annuity payments that you have coming in, and then they will allocate a little bit back to the spouse, but they will use that to offset how much you need. In one case I had, they contributed less than $1,000 to the long-term care of the individual time they took all of his income, and then his wife was left with $1,000 that they gave back to her, which is that $1,000, so that she could actually live. And the facility was 35 miles away from her home. And so she had to drive when she wanted to see him. Every day she went very religiously. Every day she had to drive 35 miles over and 35 miles back to be able to just visit with him. It's not an ideal situation. Like I said, you don't get to pick the facility. You have to take whichever one is available.
Yeah, and if you've got your own assets, the government's going to force you to spend those assets or income before they step in and provide that assistance. And then when they step in and provide that assistance, they sort of get to determine the level, the location of care. Those 3 and 4 W's are not your choice. John, because of that, do you find that people who have experienced this firsthand, who have seen it in their family or affect loved ones or friends, they are more likely and inclined to actually address this proactively to get one of these other options that are on this list?
Yeah, I think that when we look at people who have actually experienced having to care for someone through dementia or whatever, that they're going to be more proactive because they understand how much it costs, how much what's involved, and also the fact that, like we said, the government plan it works, but it's not a great alternative. We need to have our own plan. Now, we can use the regular long-term care insurance, but that in Florida is just about impossible to get now, and most of the companies that have issued in the past have either gone bankrupt or quit offering the insurance altogether. So why would you want to pay for something and not get some of your money back? I mean, that's not a very good option, I don't think.
That's a pretty powerful statement, too, because if this was a profitable product for them to have offered, there's no way that they would have stopped offering it. What that says to me is that they underestimated the number of people who would need it, the cost of that care, and the duration that care would last. And therefore, they stopped offering this protection so that they could kind of limit their potential liability. What that says as a result of that to me is that we as individuals have a big potential risk there. We've got to find an alternative means to cover.
Well, yeah, Peter. I mean, the insurance companies don't usually make actuarial mistakes, but on long-term care insurance, they totally missed the boat. They they forgot about the longevity factor that we're factoring in now. They forgot about the cost and how it was going to cost and the number of people that were going to need it. So the whole thing has really been an abomination since it started. And I don't even know why we talk about it, but it's still an option. Some people still want it. Some people are still paying for it. But the problem I've got with that is a lot of the people are paying for it will eventually lose it because the premium keeps going up. They're not going to be able to afford it that long in retirement. Yeah. They're just giving their money away.
Well, if we wanted to keep that money, John, I'm sure you run into some people who've got the level of assets that could reasonably say that I am self-insured. I can cover these expenses myself. But to me, I think that a person who fits that description enjoys leveraging their money, enjoys being efficient with their money, and for like a fraction of that portfolio value, maybe 1 or 2% per year, they could probably protect through some other forms of insurance. They could protect the assets that are giving them that confidence for what they might earn by sticking that account in a bank over a given year.
Well, that's right. I think that somebody who's talking about being self-insured is talking about that they think they have so many assets that it's not going to hurt to pay out $300,000 or $400,000, and they're still going to have enough left over. Or, you've got the ones who say, well, it's not going to happen to me, so I'll self-insure myself because I know I'm not going to have that problem.
Mr. Superman. We all think we're invincible. Yeah.
Yeah. Mom's 100, dad's 105. They've never been sick. So I know I'm going to make it. We had that situation. I know of a mother who was 106 when she passed away. The daughter passed away at 65.
Wow.
Now, there's a big difference there. Just because you've got longevity genes doesn't mean that you inherited all of them. Yeah. And it would be so much easier to do, like I said, Peter, to do this linked benefit or one of the annuities so that I can take a portion of my assets, not a large portion, but I can take a portion of my assets and I can leverage those to give me all the long-term care I'm going to need. Plus, I've got a death benefit that I'm going to get some of that money back whenever I pass away. It's a no-brainer.
Now, this is the fourth option. You've got it as number 2 on your list, but we'll call it 2A and 2B because there's sort of 2 different variations of this linked benefit. One that involves the life insurance, and then the other that involves the lifetime payment through an annuity, correct? And there might be different qualifications to get into those, or they may or may not be any qualifications health-wise to get into them, correct?
Well, with the annuity, there are no health quality questions. It's strictly you put the money up. At some point in time, you can draw a lifetime income that you can't outlive. And if we have that 2 out of 6, then we're going to get our policy doubled, our payments doubled for 5 years. With the link benefit, it's underwriting, but it's not stringent underwriting because we're putting money up. And then what they're underwriting is the fact that they're going to have the money long enough that they're going to be able to leverage it to give us that long-term care.
So some options, really, no matter what kind of situation we find ourselves in. But here's the thing, we do need to be proactive with this, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing about it is it's like we said with the financial focus plan, the income plan. How do you go on a trip without checking your tires? And if I say, okay, I'm going to take a 2,000-mile trip and my tires are ball, I know I'm going to need them, but I'm not going to buy them. Then, if I make the trip and get back, it's great. But if I make the trip and I have to buy a set on the road, I'm going to pay more for it. And that's the situation here. I think it's a good analogy because I can do this now and it'll take less assets now to set up this so that when I need it down the road, it's there than it is for me to wait and then have to worry about it because then it's too late. I don't have enough assets.
Yep. Well, this obviously wasn't just a Mother's Day conversation. These considerations are important for everyone. Everyone's situation is very different. And so 2 neighbors or even 2 spouses within the same household may have different approaches to these questions, John.
Oh, that's true. Everybody's situation is different. And if you talk to your neighbor, they may have a different situation and I've done this and that's what's good for me, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good for you. And that's why, Peter, when we sit down and we do this financial focus income plan, we look at all the health care, we look at the income, we look at taxes, we look at Social Security, we look at long-term care, we do all of that together and we come up with the best income plan that we can do to kind of help satisfy all of those situations, which, like I said, everyone's is different.
Income, investing, taxes, healthcare, legacy, the financial focus plan addresses all of those. Now, this is not 1,000 pages of financial jargon that'll go over your head. This is simple, easy to understand language, concise, consolidated, actionable steps that you can take. A snapshot of where you are, John, a discussion of the goals for the future, writing those down, putting those in writing, documenting them, and then you and your team provide recommendations on how an individual or a couple can work to achieve them effectively.
That's right. And then, as I said before, it's an ongoing process. This is a living, breathing document. Every year we want to update it. If you're going to make changes or if something happens, then we want to update the plan at that point in time. I just, as I said, I had a client come in this morning and she was talking about buying some real estate And I said, okay, now before you do, call me, let me run it through the plan. Let me see how it's going to look. That's just what we do here for our clients. We really love doing that. It's a great satisfaction, Peter, for us to be able to do that for our clients.
Well, if you would like to get your own financial focus plan for your future, or if you would like this report, this one-page resource on the 4 approaches to handling the possibility of long-term care and medical expenses into the future, pick up the phone right now. Give GulfCoast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. If you want to get that conversation started, maybe with a spouse or a family member or a loved one, this one-page document resource on the 4 approaches to long-term care would be a great way to kind of get that conversation started. And we do need to have those conversations, I think, more and more often, John, because we don't want to be a burden on our loved ones, on our family. You know, the money is important, but it's the protection that it provides to those that we care about that is most important of all.
Yeah, it is, Peter. But, you know, really, aside from that, I just want to say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and wish you all the best. And thank you for all you do for us and all you sacrifice for us. We love you to death.
Again, if you would like to get your own financial focus plan for retirement, if you would like that report, the resource on the 4 approaches to long-term care, pick up the phone, give a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. Click the link in the description around the video. The resources will be there within the description, or you can go right to the blog at GulfCoastFinancial.net, GulfCoastFinancial.net. John, always appreciate you being here. Thank you for spending the time with us again on Financial Focus.
Thank you, Peter. Have a great day.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.